big-ass monster.
From outer space.
Eddie just wants to massacre him.
Go on out there and kill him.
Wipe them out! All of them! To the very last man!
Violence. Brutality.
Trick-or-treaters are all dead. Isn't it beautiful? Take a walk in the cemetery. Get eaten up by cannibals.
Celebrate Halloween. Love and kisses, Penny baby.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Hey, Ballbusters, Bates here with your friend and mine, Ray Mungus, and we're celebrating the Big 5-0 on tonight's episode of Way of Life Live. How's it going over there, Mungus?
It is going. I'm utterly unprepared. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, before the show, I usually have like an hour to myself to kind of just look everything over and get my thoughts together. But it's been a hectic night as far as site news has been going. So I'm pretty unprepared, I gotta say.
Yeah, I was looking forward to having like a good hour and a half or so to myself. I had dinner all planned out already, so I got home, I started cooking, and of course, I decided to make beets tonight. I love beets. And sometimes when you cook beets, you gotta boil them. Sometimes when you fucking boil beets, they take like an hour to boil.
Oh my god.
So like I couldn't start cooking the rest of my dinner until the beets were soft enough to where they were almost done, and they just would not get. So basically, my entire night was ruined because of fucking beets.
Like I've known you quite a while, and I've also known you to complain about various things. You're not a complainer usually, but usually when you do, you have very good points. But I've never ever heard you, let alone the rest of the world, complain about a beet.
Fucking beets. Ruined my night. They were delicious when they finally finished, but God.
Is this adulthood? Like, is this what goes on? We just complain about how long beets take to cook and our backs and all that other.
Wait till I have a kid.
Yeah, but I see a kid as kind of like a constantly evolving adventure. You know, like I've worked with kids in previous jobs, and they keep you on your toes. You know, let me just put it that way. You are basically constantly evolving your strategies so that they don't run all over you. And wow.
Yeah, they're pretty much like wild, vicious, untamed animals. You think you can trust them because, you know, maybe you had a good day or two, and then the next day you turn your back on them and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, they're like the hyenas in The Lion King. Just completely plotting.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell John. John and Ashley had their kid late last week.
Oh, really? I didn't know they were expecting. That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
They had their little girl, and I was texting John the other day, and I was like, all right, so how's your first few days of fatherhood? And he goes, oh, it's not too bad. We've already got her on a schedule. I'm like, your child is not even a week old. You think you have her on a schedule? Dude, do you know anything about babies?
Apparently not. Jesus.
We got her on a schedule. What? Look, listen. No, I'm sorry. That's not how it works with a baby. Babies don't follow schedules. Babies make their own schedules.
Babies make you think that they're on the schedule until they decide to like rip it apart and throw it in your face.
Covered in poo.
That's exactly what I was gonna think. I was just thinking, but I knew you would say it. So.
And not like that good chunky poo. It's that liquidy milky poo. Ugh.
Oh god, I feel bad for anybody that's just tuning in now. We don't talk about baby poo all the time, but when we do, it's
So tonight is our 50th episode, and yeah, 50 episodes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was really hoping to get something interesting and, I don't know, show-stopping or something like that going for episode 50, but it just, one thing after another when it came to like trying to reach out to people, and nobody likes doing a Wednesday night show or, you know, an amateur show in general these days. So let's aim for 100. We've got 50 more episodes before we get somebody cool. But yeah, no, it's a cool little milestone, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there was nothing, obviously, again, nothing earth-shattering aside from, you know, some sad breaking news. I'd rather just get to that now instead of bringing down the entire show in a little while. But about 15 minutes before we went live here, it was announced that legendary like bit and character actor Dick Miller had passed away. Don't know what he passed away from. I had heard he'd been having some health issues every once in a while. He actually did an episode of Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast not too long ago, and he wasn't sounding the greatest on that episode. So despite the news being sad, it's not overly shocking to me. If you're not familiar with who Dick Miller is, he plays a lot of like little bit roles in popular movies, older popular movies. You would have seen him in both the Gremlin movies. You would have seen him in Terminator. You would have seen him in like the only redeeming scene in Chopping Mall, or as I like to call it, Mall Orgy Massacre.
Best name.
That's, well, honestly, come on. Chopping Mall, nobody gets chopped, okay? There's no chopping going on in that mall. There's an orgy going on.
No, there's definitely that. Unless they mean like, you know, you chop it up with somebody. There's a lot of talking amongst the people that are stuck in the mall. I know that's a reach, but it's the only logic I could make. Is there's definitely no chopping. No. I can confirm that. I could second that.
Yeah, no, it's I can't believe people like that movie. I actually might hate that movie more than Pieces.
What? First, you offend me by saying you can't believe people like it while somebody in your company does like it, and then you hate it more than Pieces. I thought Pieces was like the pinnacle of your hatred.
No, that would be Death House Now.
Ooh, we're not. Oh wait, you could say that here.
Yeah, we're not in the chat. We're not. I know the rules. Michelle doesn't know the fucking rules, but I do.
In before she pops up in our chat in 3, 2, 1.
You know, Dick Miller has just been in a little bit of everything. You know, his career goes back decades and decades and decades. So it's a pretty big blow to, you know, the horror world and, you know, the schlock world. He was in a lot of schlock picks. I think he did films with like Roger Corman and stuff, and obviously Joe Dante used them quite a bit. You know, just a big loss in general for horror fans. And you know, it didn't take long for the news to spread, and then my timeline was just filled with, you know, people showing their respects, which is nice. I always love seeing that, especially for older actors who you don't hear about too much anymore. But when they do inevitably pass on, it's nice to see that they are so fondly remembered by so many.
Yeah, very well said. I'm just like scrolling through his IMDb page right now, just to get a taste of the movies that he's been in, and he is right up till there's a movie that's completed and it's like set to be coming out in 2019 sometime, maybe 2020. But he has consistently worked, for many, many years, like you said, decades. I'm scrolling as I'm typing right now, all the way down to 1955 with a total of 182 film credits.
Yeah.
It's very likely that he's been in a movie that you've seen, many of them even. Ones that you probably didn't even know he was in, and that's the great thing about him. He's such a talented character actor that he would just be one of the guys. He'd be one of the people that really help world build in these type of movies. And oftentimes, him like in Gremlins, for example, having a little bit bigger role, he's the type of character that you would remember. The guy that you knew somebody like, and he was just exceptional. The only downside to this, aside from him passing away, is the fact that he's so much like a chameleon in these roles that often people think that they haven't seen him in anything recently, and they like erroneously think that he's already had passed away. I've had conversations myself with people where we drop Dick Miller's name, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I remember him. He was great." And you're like, "What do you mean great? He's still working." And they're like, "No, he died back in the 90s or this and that." And it's like it makes you question yourself, and you're just like, "Wait a second, I think you're right. Let me look that up really quick." And no, he had 5 movies come out the year previously, and I guess it's a good thing because I don't even know what the type of thing that is. It's unfortunate, but he's helped build so many Hollywood films and made many of them memorable. So his work stands the test of time, and it'll speak for itself. And it's unfortunate that he's not going to be putting anything more out. So I'm just glad that we have him in the roles that we have him in.
Yeah, Dick Miller is one of those actors or actresses. He's one of those actors, and there's plenty of them who, if you're talking to somebody, it's like, yeah, you've seen that movie, right? It's got Dick Miller in it, and they'll look at you and they go, Dick Miller? Who's Dick Miller? And they don't know the name, but then as soon as you show them a picture of his face, they go, oh my God, that guy. He's the person who, people don't know his name, but as soon as they see his face, they know everything about him. They know they can name 10 movies off the top of their head that they've seen this guy in just from his face. He's one of those actors.
Yeah, I agree, and it must be nice to have that sort of like reputation. It's great. I'm sure it's really great being a Hollywood A-lister, but for a character for a face like Dick Miller, multiple generations from the 50s on know that guy. And you look at your Channing Tatums and, all those type of stars that are going to come in, make their buck, and then they're going to go. I don't necessarily know they're going to have the same treatment down the road. And it might not be good to be, not known by name, but at the same time, you're going to know that guy by face. And like you said, you're going to name as many movies as you've seen him in.
Yeah, so we wish him a farewell and happy travels. All right. So what else has been going on? Well, we've had almost a solid week now with Resident Evil 2. Well, I have. I know somebody else hasn't even gotten out of the gas station yet, but...
Like I said today in chat, I am from New Jersey. I've never pumped gas before. I think I have, actually. But Jerseyans, we don't pump our own gas. We have attendants for that. So I pull up to this Raccoon City, on the outskirts of Raccoon City. I'm looking for gas, and a gas attendant to come out and wash my windows, fill the tank, and nobody has yet. So I've been camped out there for a few days. How's your trips faring?
Oh, lovely.
I heard you went hardcore, right?
Yes, I was I decided not to even, learn the mechanics of the game and, get a basic run through down, so I wasn't running around in circles for hours. And I jumped right into a Leon hardcore for my first run. Beat it. It was a bit frustrating, but once you start learning certain nuances and how to manage stuff, it wasn't that bad. I ended up finishing the game. I think in about, it was long, about 8 hours, 20 saves. But I managed to still have a ton of ink ribbons left over and a crap ton of ammo. I mean, I kept reloading certain areas because I couldn't. I was trying my hardest to get through them perfectly without wasting any ammo and without using any healing items and taking any damage. And I would just keep reloading certain spots until I got it perfect. So that's why I ended up finishing the game with as much ammo as I did.
And this is the Leon one, or
yeah, yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, because that's one of the biggest complaints. Everybody thinks that the ammo is completely scarce in that game, and it's challenging, very frustrating. I love it because it's old school. It's easy to get one of these stupid Call of Duty games and just blow up everything in sight without even thinking about reloading. But this takes a little more time, a little more patience, and conserving, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely does. You got to play a little strategically until you actually learn, how to run through each scenario. And then, I've already seen people doing hardcore Leon runs in under an hour. And it's like, wait, what? The fuck's wrong with you? Go get a life, man.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm gonna need. I've been seeing this one guy streaming non-stop. Just doing speed runs on the game, and I'm like, I don't get it. It's like, dude, don't you have a fucking job? Like, I get it, you're a speedrunner. This is, one of your big hobbies, something you love to do. But like, I've been seeing this guy stream between 10 and 15 hours a day since the game came out doing speedruns. It's like, dude, fucking give it a break, man.
Give it a break, or give me some of the money that you could live off of, because I would like to play Resident Evil for that many hours in a day, but sadly, I can't.
No, whatever. But I have started Claire's B scenario on hardcore. I'm actually almost like halfway through it. I've been running through it really fast. Being a little bit cautious and saving after, stretches of certain areas. But I'm actually running through it pretty damn fast, and then I'm looking forward to doing Claire's A and then Leon's B after I'm done with that.
Yeah, that's the same path that I'm going to be taking. I really enjoy getting the full experience of the story. So one thing that I was going to do was just Leon A and then Claire A, but I've been told that it's really worth doing the Claire B scenario, or vice versa, just to kind of fill in the gaps immediately while the story's fresh, and then you could kind of get a different perspective going forward when you do the secondary A story, which I'm very cool with. I love that it has replayability, and I don't know, it just seems like a very, very awesome game from what I've seen of it so far. I've seen some videos and all that, and just the feel of the game is pretty cool, despite my only getting to a gas station. It's where Resident Evil should be. Like, I played the demo a bit, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to really dive into the full meat and potatoes of this game within the next 15 years or so.
Yeah, by the next time they remake this game, you'll have this one. You'll have this one in the bag, I think.
Yeah, that sounds painfully accurate.
We do have a review for the game up on the site, and that is dropped in the chat for anyone who's interested. Also going on right now is my ongoing Punisher Season 2 reviews. You have it that episode 9 just dropped. I thought we were only up to 8. I thought 9 was tomorrow.
8 was dropped for today. See, we post our news the night before, so everything is already on the site before we go to bed. This way everything could post to the social media accounts and everything like that pretty smoothly while we go to work and all that. So right now, if you're listening, you can go to deadentertainment.com and check out tomorrow's episode, the one that's going to be appearing on social. It's already ready to go, And yeah, give it a read.
Very cool. It means I got to finish the last three. I could probably
You've
get
been
some.
getting you've been getting them going pretty well, so they've been coming along pretty.
Yeah. I finished 10 today, and I just got to write the last three, which shouldn't be too bad. They're the last four episodes are four of the better episodes, so they're a little bit easier to write. And when is my Theater of Terror review going live?
Well, as I've mentioned earlier, the site's been extremely busy this week. Like breaking news dropping like fucking every minute. Tonight, for example, we saw the finish line. We were ready to close out the night's articles, and then two or three more pieces of news broke like while they were being written and scheduled. So with that said, the Theater of Terror review is likely going to be posting Friday. Again, you could get a preview of it tomorrow night. And we'll be putting it up on social then. We just had to get a few things together, images and trailers, links, things like that, just so we could really put it together well.
Very cool. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. That is a little low budget indie flick from a North Jersey local. So a movie I'd actually had heard a little bit about. It premiered a few weeks ago at a theater in Jersey City. I wanted to go, but it was in Jersey City, and yeah, fuck that. But the filmmaker I actually got in contact with the filmmaker, and he sent me the film to watch and review. And normally I love indie films. The problem is most indie films are honestly not that good. So I was pleasantly surprised with how good this particular flick was. And there's a lot to talk about. So I would just say, just keep an eye out for the review. And if you like indie films and movies like Trick or Treat or Creepshow, movies in that style, then I would say, keep an eye out for the Theater of Terror. You might really enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it a little bit next week on the show once the review's live.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so yeah, let's get into some horror news. Lots of shit going on. Stephen King's The Stand receives a 10-episode straight-to-series order on CBS All Access. Okay, that was all right. I don't even know where. I haven't watched the mini series for The Stand in probably since it came out.
Wow, that's a while ago.
Yeah. So I might want to just go rewatch that and be prepared, because I'd love to kind of judge the two next to each other. But I mean, 10 episodes, that's going to be pretty long.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the long form adaptation of it. They made excuse me, sorry about that. They made, for the TV series, the miniseries back in the day, it was a 4-part series, if I recall. I think it was 4 episodes, 2 hours each, give or take, 8 hours long, which you would think they'd be able to cover the entirety of Stephen King's 1,100-page book in that time frame. But even then, the miniseries didn't really scratch the surface of what that book holds within it. With that said, it seems like this is the absolute best route to go, rather than the feature film route that they were planning to do for a little bit. They were going to make 4 movies and, get, major actors in charge of it. I think the best way to go about telling this movie is an ongoing series. Don't just do a limited run series or something that could get canceled. Tell the whole thing. Take your time and really flesh the entire thing out. After numerous attempts of them trying to get this thing off the ground, I'm really happy that it landed on a television streaming platform, because the freedom is there. They don't have to worry about advertisers breathing down their neck, and it's their home. It's everything is under their roof and they control it. So I think you're going to get the best bang for your buck for when it comes to adapting that.
Yeah, I never thought film adaptations were going to be the way to go. I always thought that was going to be really clunky. With a television series, they have way more room to breathe and way more room to explore maybe certain aspects of the book that they may not have been able to explore on a film format simply because of time constraints, So with a series like this, getting 10 episodes is a lot of time that they can really, the book is 1,100 pages. I'm going to assume that each episode is going to be an hour long. You're looking at about 100 pages in an hour, give or take. 110 pages in an hour. That's a good, that's a good amount of time to chip away at about 110 pages each episode.
Oh, absolutely, and just things that are implied within the book, and things that are a little more fleshed out that are completely omitted in the miniseries. They're just going to have that sort of freedom. And what King is best at doing is storytelling. Granted, you need somewhat of a budget to kind of like make the world look, like an apocalypse happened, but not that much. You could really tell this story on a pretty decently sized budget. And the best part is CBS's All Access are kind of kicking in the door. They realize what Netflix is capable of, and they're just like, all right, we're gonna try to go for that number 2 as far as original programming goes. And when it has the Star Trek Discovery show in its second season, Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone coming very soon. I believe news just dropped tonight that it's going to be out April 1st with the first 2 episodes. So that's a nice little home for the stand to kind of like move in on. And I think only good things are going to be ahead for Stephen King fans.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be better than the original miniseries. I didn't think that was all that great.
I liked it. There were some characters, actors that could have been changed, I think. Not to get into too much. They're just certain elements that felt really, really drawn out, and other elements that felt a little bit too much or too short. And it had issues, but overall, I thought it was a decent story. I really like the dude that played Randall Flagg, and he's what, 30 years older? Nah, he's probably too old to play him. But I really liked him. Yeah.
So, sticking with TV series, it was finally officially announced that Don Mancini's Child's Play television series will be finding a home on Sci-Fi. A lot of us have been wondering ever since the announcement of the movie reboot, and, we've been seeing teaser posters and all that shit for it. We were wondering if, this television show that we had heard about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, was even still in the works. Well, we just got our confirmation that it most certainly is.
Yeah, when filmmakers say, the news is coming soon, we're still figuring things out. That's often just like kind of just to push everybody off and say, we're still shopping it around. We really need some time. Lay off, press. So it became one of those situations where the remake is kind of really ramping up their engines, and the news for Child's Play television series is getting far and few in between. So to get this news was refreshing. It was a nice breath of fresh air. Personally, I'm looking forward to checking out the remake, despite it being completely fucking pointless at this point, with Don Mancini breathing so much new life into that series, and quality life, no less. But the thing that's great, the thing about this whole television series that's interesting is, my first opinion when I heard that it was landing on Sci-Fi. I was just like, oh man, Sci-Fi. They could have done something better. But after Channel Zero went on for 4 seasons on Sci-Fi, it kind of refreshed my hope, I guess, a little bit. And Channel Zero creator Nick Antokowska, I think I say his name. He is on board to produce the Child's Play television series. So he's going from one project that just, received the axe onto something that's probably going to be a little bit more popular than Channel Zero. And granted, that doesn't take anything away from the quality of Channel Zero. I'm just saying Child's Play has how many years of history?
Yeah. 1988, so nearly over 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. He's going from really, really solid start, a great television show that people really dug with Channel Zero, right on to a legendary franchise. And I think it's really cool that this franchise is going to continue. I'm just curious to see what way they're going with it. They're calling it Child's Play. Is it going to be another remake? Are they going to continue the story, or is it going to continue directly after the last movie? So many questions, so too many.
I think that's what they were planning on doing, is continuing from the end of Cult.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. That ending of Cult, and I'm not spoiling it right now. It was just, it left a lot of people's mouth on the floor, but in a very good way. You're just like, wow, didn't see that coming, and I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah, and the guy you're talking about, Nick Antokowska, I believe he had written a Friday the 13th reboot script that I read.
I believe you're right. Now that you mention it, we actually talked about it on the first stream we ever did, your Friday the 13th stream over at your channel.
Yep.
We did like a 7-hour stream, and one of the topics that we put down on the paper were to really talk about these scripts that we had read. And I want to say that his was the more impressive one. I'd have to compare, but dude's talented.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one because I had read 2 back to back. But I'm positive that's the name of the writer on one of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think his was the more brutal one, if I recall correctly. It was the more violent.
Yeah, which was good in some aspects, but it also really put himself in a corner writing wise. It gets kind of hard writing for a character like that. It's after a certain amount of time.
Not to mention to separate your own fandom from the actual story. Really quick, going back to the whole independent film making and how it's difficult to make a decent quality one on that level. I think too many fans want to inject way too much of the things they grew up watching rather than just making an original story. And I think that's where a lot of these things fall short. And when you're tackling something like Friday the 13th, hire to write a script, a treatment for Friday the 13th after growing up on 30 years of Friday the 13th, you're just like, okay, I need to write balls to the wall and then kind of hit the brakes a little bit and go back and give that a polish down, so it's not too fanboy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some casting news and a little bit of story news on what's going on with this particular series. But I wouldn't expect anything probably until late spring or even early summer at this point.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But nevertheless, congratulations to Don Mancini and crew. That's really great news.
So, continuing with this running theme of television series here, Netflix is apparently developing a Resident Evil TV series. Okay, now, I did not read anything about it. I saw the news, but I didn't go into it. Did they mention if it's going to be animated or live action?
This is going to be a live action Resident Evil series.
Okay. And I'm guessing they didn't say what particular story they're going to be focusing on first. I'm going to assume it's going to be the first game, or I don't think they would do Resident Evil 0.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but according to the report, the company that's completely backing this project, Constantine Film, is looking to kind of dive into the dark inner workings of the Umbrella Corporation.
Okay.
Resulting in the power grabs and all that stuff about pharmaceutical technology and everything like that.
No, that's actually a really cool place to start. I mean, that's well before the events of the first game, and then you get you can they can really start to explore. They could bring in Wesker, because Wesker was a part of the team for quite a while before the events of Part 1. They could, look into characters like Spencer and a few others who discovered the flower, the progenitor flower, which they in turn took and turned into the progenitor virus and created the strains of the T and G virus from. So there's a lot they could really explore before they even get to any of the games. I mean, they could bring in the character. I forget his name. I believe he's a Russian character. But the character who cloned himself, I think 5 or 6 times, and that's how the Mr. X Tyrant from Resident Evil 2 is created. He's actually a clone of a still living character. There's so much fucking lore that they could really explore. And I think that's a better route to go. I think a lot of very casual but yet dedicated fans to the series and the franchise might be a little upset that they're not going for the first game first. But I think this is the smarter move.
I'll agree with you only if they have the fans in mind. What makes me nervous about this is I'm not 100% sure, but this company is the company that also had their hand in the movie productions. So that's red flag number 1.
Oh.
Red flag number 2 is the sort of, I guess, the temptation to go and say, we don't necessarily need Resident Evil's backstory or any of the game stuff. We're going to create our own stuff that has to kind of, it dives into the Umbrella aspect of it. And while normally what you just said, everything that you just said is appealing to me. If that is what they have in mind, I say go for it. And, I would love for that, like a season or 2 of like the pharmaceutical end of it. And then season 3 is the team that's brought in to investigate blah, blah, blah. I think it would make for a really effective progression. However, I've got this feeling that they're kind of just looking to create something original within that universe, and we've already seen how many movies, 6 or 7 of that sort of mindset fail. Some people like them. They kept making movies. It's great for casual fans, but my concern, I guess, is we're going to be getting a televised version of the Resident Evil movies that kind of have that, I guess, pizzazz or whatever of like the Walking Dead series, like where it's at now.
Well, hopefully they can make it to where it stands on its own.
Yeah, we're going to find out one way or another.
So we'll be sending more news your way as soon as they start dropping more news. So again, more TV series news. Noticing a running theme here tonight.
Yeah, man. There's all the TV news just dropped within the last week. It's nuts.
The CW orders pilot episode for the Lost Boys TV show. Now, not entirely sure that we needed another vampire TV show. especially one based on such a beloved movie. I mean, how are they really even going to tie this into the movie, or is it just not going to be?
From what I hear, it's going to take place within the same universe as the movies, but they're going to jump into different time periods. I believe starting with 1960, I want to say. I'd have to double check that. 1967, I believe, and it's supposed to be taking place in San Francisco. That's what the original pitch was to CW, that it kind of broke a few months back. What they're doing with it now that it's been greenlit, is yet to be seen. So from what I'm gathering, they're supposed to have the show kind of span 70 years and chronicling the kind of characters and things like that over the time period leading up to, obviously the films. How they tie it into the films, another thing yet to be seen.
All right. Well, I'm not a big fan of a lot of CW programming. They kind of tween it up a little bit too much for me, but I'll give it a shot. I love the movies. Well, I love the first one. The second one wasn't that good. Third one, I don't remember if I saw the third one.
I just love seeing the Frog Brothers together again. Even though they were just ruthless cash grabs 20 some odd years later, it was cool to see them back.
So, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, it's only getting a pilot right now, and that can mean they make the one episode and that's it. It may not get anything else. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a step forward past the rumors. So like we're inching towards something tangible. Yeah.
And they had been talking about a Lost Boys TV show probably for the last year or so. You would hear rumblings every once in a while about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just glad that finally hearing something official.
So moving on here, here's some pretty cool news that I don't think anybody was expecting. So Saw's Leigh Whannell is set to direct Universal's The Invisible Man for Blumhouse. An Invisible Man reboot. Okay. We really haven't gotten any type of Invisible Man movie since probably Hollow Man.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And yeah, I don't know. This is pretty cool. It's always the same Universal monsters that ends up getting remade. Your Frankenstein monsters, your Draculas, your mummies, your Wolfmans. The Invisible Man always seemed like one of those characters that kind of got left behind. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. I think with the right script, this could be something special.
Yeah, definitely. And there was so much, I guess, there was so much of an audience for the Universal Monster movies recently when Guillermo del Toro was like, yeah, give me the series and I will work on it. I will invest my love of monster movies into a proper Universal Monsters extended universe, if you will. And everybody was like, wait a second, we didn't have to go through The Mummy and Dracula Untold. Like, you would have done it? Like, the current king of monster movies, you would have done that for the Universal, for Universal Pictures?
Yeah.
So, like, there was this kind of, yearning for this project. And then it quieted down for a few months. Like, there was some talk about maybe them eventually getting to the Invisible Man movie with Johnny Depp, which would have continued that universe, but then everything just kind of stopped. But what it looks like is that dark universe that Universal was looking toward, going toward, is completely scrapped. Blumhouse is stepping in and looking to bring the entire universe back to its horror roots. And in those previous movies that they put out there, it felt like Universal was trying to take every bit of horror that was like even close to being in them and sucking it dry. And it's, you know, you just don't treat your classic movie monsters like that. And it's really, really great to see Blumhouse stepping in and bringing on a seasoned, you know, like writer-director. He's written, he's acted, and he's directed. You know, he just recently did that movie Upgrade, which was really, really, people loved it.
Yeah, you know, I think I saw like bits and pieces of it, and it just wasn't really for me. But I could see why people were digging it.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, for them to bring in a guy like that is a, you know, a household name when it comes to horror, somebody that appreciates horror as much as the next guy, and to put it all on his shoulders to really make a Universal monster movie for what it really needs to be. You know, I think that's like a vote of confidence, you know, in what the fans want. You know, like they appreciate what we have been yelling for years, and it looks like we're finally going to get it.
Yeah, let's just hope the quality is there. I have a good feeling about it, but you never know.
Can't be worse than the last ones.
Yeah, let's not find out. So Zack Snyder coming back, but not to DC.
No, we're not getting Justice League 2?
Not by him. Apparently, he will be directing Army of the Dead for Netflix. I don't even know what Army of the Dead is.
Okay, so Army of the Dead was a film that he was attached to direct back in the day. When he did Dawn of the Dead 2004, the remake that was written by James Gunn, and had a modicum of success with it. You know, zombies were back on the like center stage, and everybody wanted a zombie movie. And with him directing a hit the way he did, they obviously wanted to bring him in for another zombie movie. Thing I don't know 100% sure is if this movie was supposed to be tied to the Dawn of the Dead story, like kind of continue the Dawn of the Dead saga. Because let's be real here, the only thing that he kept from the original Dawn of the Dead movie was the mall. Okay, so it screamed to me back in the day that they were looking to kind of just continue on with his storyline when it came to Army of the Dead. And yeah, it's like a new zombie movie of sorts.
I mean, it's not like the entire zombie genre is not oversaturated as it is, but
no, not at all. Not as bad as vampires, like you said before. Oh wait,
well, zombies are getting up there, man.
Oh no, I was being sarcastic. Zombies are way overstaying their welcome at this point. Even though
Yeah, I love them too, but sometimes you just need to take a big break from them.
Yes, and tackle vampires. I'm just saying.
So yeah, so expect zombies and lots of slow motion.
They're gonna run. I've heard it being described as balls to the wall, so we know it's going to be your typical Zack Snyder, overly action-packed nonsense. Takes place in Las Vegas, though, right? And there's mercenaries and all the stuff that I pretty much hate about zombie movies, but, you know, hooah hooah.
Well, to stay on the zombie topic, Zombieland dropped a teaser poster for the sequel. One of those 10-year challenge posters is what they did, and I have to say it was very clever.
No, I agree with you. I clicked on the picture just to get because like I saw an article or whatever, and at this point every site is filled with clickbait, so I'm just like, okay, here we go. What is this? And what they did was they recreated the original poster with the upgraded ages. Essentially, it was really cool to see them kind of like all these years later and in the same sort of worlds, living the same sort of way. And I gotta say, those, aside from the little girl, they don't age. They all look about the same.
Yeah, especially Woody. He has found some type of fountain of youth, and he's hiding it.
Speaking of vampires, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg definitely looks older in the face. He doesn't have quite the baby face anymore.
I agree, but he did not age as bad as Michael Cera. I've seen Michael Cera recently in the Arrested Development new season. After like them taking many, many years, they kind of picked up immediately where the last season left off, and Michael Cera like looks like he's hiding some bald spots, and he's yeah. Jesse Eisenberg's doing a little bit better, especially after all the hair he probably lost for all the stress he got from playing Lex Luthor.
Mm. Yeah, that was you got a lot of flack, a lot of backlash from that role. But personally, he can thank his writers and director for that one.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
So, do we have any plot details on Zombieland 2?
We possibly do. Let me see. I've read it not too long ago. You're putting me on the spot here. I don't have it up in front of me, but the basic gist of it is complete survival. Like I remember a couple of details where they are currently living in the White House, and they have to continue on their trip after something happens. I don't want to overly spoil it because I don't know how much these leaks are spoilers, but let's just say an event takes place. They're forced to leave their safe haven and venture out into the big bad zombie land to do something. And there's some characters that show up along the way. So, I hate being as vague, but again, I'm not sure these leaked details are how bad of spoilers they are.
Hello?
Hello.
I don't know what happened there.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry about that.
Hey, hiccup.
So we don't really have too much plot details yet, which is normal. I wouldn't expect too much. We just got a teaser poster. They're probably still finalizing a script and everything, but it is definitely pretty cool to see them actually finally moving on this project. It had been in like the works and been in talks for so many years, and we kept hearing rumors, and now it looks like finally they're getting off their ass and getting something done.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see movement going forward, and that they're not going to have to change their release date, which is, if I remember correctly, 10 years after the original to the date.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like waiting a decade in between movies, but I guess it is what it is. I'm not a filmmaker, so
Yeah, back in the day, something like that would be like nobody would dare try it, and now they're making movies that are sequels to a movie that came out 40 years ago or 30 years ago. It's wild. It's very interesting the times we're living in as far as movies go.
Yeah, but this is gonna make a lot of fans happy. Zombieland was a very popular movie, and I think as long as a lot of the obviously the cast is all the same, are the directors and the writers the same?
Yep.
All right. Well, then you know what? I don't think we have anything to worry about.
And the directors are hot off of Deadpool and Deadpool 2, so I think we're gonna get some quality stuff out of Zombieland.
Yeah, it's I think we'll be in good hands, and we'll wait for some more news and maybe some behind the scenes photos or some set photos or something. Did they say when they're gonna start shooting?
I'm not 100% sure they aren't already, or at least they're like about to start. Because like for them to all get into costumes again and to put that sort of effort forth, I think that's a nice way of saying, hey, the wheels are about to be in motion. Very similar to what happened with the Birds of Prey production teaser trailer they released this week. We'll talk about it a little more next week, but there's this new trend of kind of like showing a little clip or a little photo or something to kind of announce that production's been started. We've seen it with Birds of Prey, the Joker movie, and today Bad Boys Forever, or whatever it's called, sequel to Bad Boys. So I'm very optimistic in saying, I really think that production's either about ready to start or is undergoing.
All right.
Ongoing.
Yeah, it could be one of those movies where, half of it might be shot already. It could be done. We don't even know.
It'd be really interesting if it was, but hey, Adam Green made a Hatchet 4 without any of us knowing, so why not?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. So it is entirely possible.
Definitely.
So you had me watch a teaser trailer for a flick called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. I hadn't even heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. And I watched it. It seems like with the Netflix, I guess, series going on, I guess Ted Bundy is sort of a hot commodity all of a sudden.
Well, what was going on with the whole Ted Bundy thing? The director, Joe Berlinger, who is a very acclaimed documentary director, he basically signed on to do a movie called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which is essentially a Ted Bundy biopic. And while he was filming that movie, he also decided to put together a documentary series, and it ended up being picked up by Netflix. It's the Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, I think it's called.
Yep.
It's wildly popular. It just came out last week, and everybody is just kind of like indulging it, just like eating it up, and I guess indulging their morbid curiosity about somebody that could just kill as many people as he did, while still having this charming, polite, everyday man attitude. And then they dropped the trailer for the movie that he also directed, and people aren't responding to it very well.
Yeah, the way the trailer was shot and particularly the music they chose doesn't really go with like the whole motif of the movie and what it's based on. It seems kind of insensitive.
Okay, I could see that. I feel like they were kind of going for a Quentin Tarantino-esque vibe in the promotions, like to try to really, I don't want to say romanticize, but kind of really play up the everyday man to play up the mask of sanity that this guy put on. And, I could see obviously the insensitivity being that it is a real life story, but it's also, a movie. So they have to kind of put it out there. A lot of people were complaining that it was, they try to make this movie look too fun.
Yeah, it seems just a little too like bouncy and bubbly, when you consider that the source material that they're tackling, it doesn't fit. There's something missing there. It needs to be a little darker, a little bit more morbid, a little bit more evil. The music that they use, they're just like, what the am I watching a trailer for like a Farrelly Brothers movie or something? What's going on here? What is this?
No, I completely agree with you. But personally, I like that part about the trailer for the simple fact that like if you watch the documentary, and I you know, it's no secret that like most horror fans are kind of curious at least about serial killers. I've read a lot about these type of people over the years, and I'd say that Ted Bundy is like kind of one of the more interesting ones because he had this way about him where you're sitting across from him and he's really, really charming you as a person. You could be friends with this guy, but he's also 110% capable of doing the most unspeakable, vile acts out there. It's that like good versus evil, black and white sort of nature. And I think that's what they were trying to kind of put forth in the trailer, at least the white side of it, the more uplifting side of it. And people were expecting something more grisly for somebody that, like him. But I don't know. I think it was the right choice in going forth, but I also at the same time see where people are coming from, in being offended by it. It's this weird kind of situation where you're like, okay, well, when should art stop? Should certain topics be taboo, or can we approach these things from an acclaimed filmmaker sort of way? Like put out a movie like this that could make bank in the box office, essentially, because that's all movie making is. Or should we be more sensitive to the topics that we cover?
I don't know. I get what they were going for, but when you're tackling a subject like this, where, it's based on a real person, it's based on true events, and there's, real families involved that were devastated and destroyed by this man, I think you sort of want to err on the side of caution and play it a bit more serious. Just out of respect for those families.
I 100% agree there.
I'm just sort of spitballing that as, I like to call myself a writer, and if I was writing and, or directing this movie, that's how I would tackle it. I would tackle it in the most serious manner possible, just out of the respect of the families that this man had destroyed all those years ago.
I agree. I think the trailer does not necessarily follow those rules, but from what I'm hearing from the reviews out of Sundance, this is a very tight, serious film, and from the one thing that's I think is really great about it is they don't indulge in kind of like bathing in the murder scenes. From what I gather, the murder scenes take place completely off screen, and I guess the film is more grounded in a character study rather than like a exploitation movie.
Yeah,
I think they try to make something that might get people talking, and that's the whole point of a trailer, or something that's a little edgier, just to get this promotional material out there into people's minds, into people's conversations. And I guess the thing that I'm really conflicted on is there's many types of stories being told out there. There are history stories, plenty of them, slave stories, war stories, everything like that. Why are we all of a sudden uncomfortable with a part of history that involves this type of violence when there's so many other stories told about other types of violence that could be deemed offensive or insensitive? It's weird that this conversation's taking place for only this movie when I think it should be taking place for other movies too. But at the same time, I don't want movies to be censored, so I'm very, very conflicted at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm erring on the side of I wish they just put a little bit more thought into the trailer, at least into the way it was cut, and particularly, again, just the choice of music. I think it was that choice of music that really set a weird tone for a movie based around a real life, mass murdering serial killer.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I added this mainly just to kind of get your take on it too, because again, I had all these conflicting thoughts, and I'm just like, I need to talk to somebody about this, and message boards are dead.
Yeah, so I mean, I might look into this movie. Once they release maybe another trailer and you get another view on it. As of right now, it just seemed, I don't know. It's like you ever watch a movie and it's based on real events and real people and all this stuff, and you're sitting there and you're watching the trailer for it, and it's just like, I don't think that's how it happened. Like I've watched the trailer for like a recent movie would be Dick, the movie about Dick Cheney.
Okay.
Or Vice or whatever it's called. And you're just watching some parts of the trailer, and it's like, yeah, I bet you that didn't happen that way. Not even close. Or, Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie about Queen. You're watching stuff in that. It's like, that definitely didn't happen that way. And then later on, you go and you read shit, maybe from people who were there or band members. And they're like, yeah, the movie was good and everything, but there was a lot of stuff that just was completely blown out of proportion or fabricated or just flat out never happened. And I think that's okay to get away with in movies, like about a band. The movie about Queen. I think it's okay to fabricate a little bit because that's not really hurting anyone. It might kind of offend the band, but I guess if the movie's good and it's not painting anybody in a particularly bad light, then there's no harm, no foul in that. If you're gonna start throwing fluff into a movie about a serial killer, again, you're crossing some territory that I think is, I think you're just crossing a line that you really shouldn't cross. That's, if you can't tell the story as accurately as possible, then don't do it. But I can't say that's for sure because I don't know anybody who would know if the story was true or not, and obviously I haven't seen the movie yet. So again, I'm just speculating big time here, but it's just how I feel as a writer and being someone who, if I had to kind of contribute to something like that, I'd want to know that I'm contributing to something that's as real as possible.
I can confirm that a lot of what's in the trailer seems to be kind of on point, with the exception of maybe Zac Efron being a little bit more attractive than, or a little more handsome than Ted Bundy, a little more charming. His pearly whites are a little more glowing. It sounds like I have a crush on the dude, but I'm just saying, like, compared to the man himself, it seems like there was a little bit more friendliness, more likability added to the character. But those elements are all present in the actual person. And I think there's where a lot of the conflict stems from. People are like, okay, they're just trying to kind of romanticize it, maybe give it that sort of sexy Hollywood treatment, to really avoid the grit and the reality of it. Maybe take away some of the responsibility from the killer himself. But we've only just gotten a trailer, so I think a lot of that is left to be still judged at some point. And with the director doing the Netflix documentary series, you obviously know that he has a very good, deep understanding of the person. It's just all in how people, accept it or the perception they have while watching it. The trailer itself, like you said, I think it was probably a little bit too much on the nose. So I definitely see people's points there, but I don't know. I just think it's going to be an interesting conversation once the movie comes out.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can kind of course correct and cut a more appropriate trailer.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case with trailer 2, absolutely.
At least I could hope so. All right, well, I think that's actually going to wrap it up for us tonight, right? We're not doing any comic or geek news this week.
No, there's been some stuff that dropped this week, but we had a lot of catch up to do on horror, and this is Dead Entertainment, so we figured let's put the priority on horror this week, and then maybe take it easy, providing nothing major drops this coming week. Maybe take it easy next episode, just shoot the shit about, various things. We'll see how things.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But a lot of horror news covered this week, which is a nice change of pace because it's never anything like this good.
I know a lot of the times when I'm like looking through things to kind of talk about, I'm reaching on some stuff, and I can hear it in your voice sometimes where you're like, I don't want to be talking about this, and sometimes it's me. It's like, okay, we're really reaching on, I guess, stretching out a discussion on a particular news topic, but all is right in the world this week. It worked out.
Yeah, and actually, while we were streaming, the WB dropped like 1 million dates for movies.
Interesting. What kind of was it? Like geek and comic news or others?
Well, they dropped a bunch. They dropped dates for the Batman, I believe, the stupid Harley Quinn movie, and I think I saw a Super Pets movie. Yeah.
I guess you're gonna have to tune in next week for our thoughts on that.
But they also dropped dates for like Doctor Sleep and stuff. So.
Ooh, nice, very nice. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have some things to talk about next week for sure.
Yeah, definitely. There was probably more, but those are the ones I really noticed right away. Especially the Batman one, because there's just more and more reports coming in that there is no Ben Affleck attached to this movie. Aside from aside as a producer credit.
Yeah, there's also a real interesting quote from today that you're gonna love, but I'm saving for next week.
But yeah, no Ben Affleck. I know a certain someone who I actually have not been following in the last month or two, who's going to just throw a little bitch fit over that.
Yeah, we don't say that person's name because that person is like Beetlejuice. You don't want to say his name more than once.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't even like gone to his dumbass channel. For all I know, he got banned again, which wouldn't surprise me with how fucking toxic he is.
Oh yeah, what a character.
But yeah, so that is going to wrap it up for us tonight. Nice early night for a change. That's weird, but
I know we had like more news than ever, and we got our time down a little bit.
Hey, that's good. We're learning how to kind of, I guess, hone in, say what we need to say, and then move on. Sometimes we hang out on topics a little longer than we should, especially when we got a lot to cover. But this was good.
Agreed.
So thank you guys for hanging out. Much appreciated. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We do this most Wednesday nights. Every once in a while, we got to take a Wednesday off. We need a break. Especially Mungus. He's the one who puts this show all together. So, every once in a while, it's good to give him a break. But most Wednesdays, 8 p.m.-ish Eastern Time, you find us here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to us below and follow us on Twitter. You can follow us at Way of Life Live on Twitter. We don't post too much from it occasionally. But you can also follow us at Dead End Site. That we post a lot more from. And you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/deadentertainment. You can also check out my channel. My gaming channel. I got a giveaway going on right now, so go ahead, head over to my channel and find all the information on that. You can just click my name in chat or something, or there's ways to find me. So go to my Twitter. My channel's all up there. Yeah, and then make sure you check out deadentertainment.com for all your horror news, reviews, editorials, all kinds of good shit I should have. So as we were saying earlier, my Theater of Terror review should be up tomorrow night. Make sure you check that out. I was very, very pleased with how that movie turned out, and we'll talk more about it next week. Again, this is not a big name movie. This was a little indie movie by a local North Jersey guy, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it. So we'll talk more about that next week. You got anything?
Never do.
Yep, it's pretty much how it goes lately. So anyway, thank you guys so much. We will see you next week. And remember,
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.